What's up, everybody? This is Ben here with the Point By Patrol, and today we're going to be installing the EVS tuning lower ball joints for the, well, these work for the FK8 and the FL5, and they come with like these neat little grommets that help you kind of change how many degrees you're looking for. It's really cold outside, which is why I'm standing here next to the forge warming myself up before I go outside to start working on the car. Doing a couple things today. I'm swapping my factory tires back over onto the car because I've got a track weekend coming up next weekend, and it's going to be in the 20s overnight, and it's going to take a while for that temperature to come up during the day, and it looks like it's only going to be highs in the 40s, so the 200 tread wear tires are coming off in place of the 300 tread wear tires. 300 tread wear, I should be able to at least get some temperature in them, but the 200 tread wears, it's just not happening. So likely won't be setting any personal best, but it is what it is. I'm also putting on my AP-Essex big brake kit in the front. So I've already completed one side, and figured I'd just show you on on the other side because it's the same process on both sides. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. The factory ball joint, and it comes in at 2 pounds, 8.7 ounces. Then I'm gonna grab the EVS tuning and I'll put the grommets in as well, just so that they're part of that calculation. 1.87. So it's literally a pound less, so you get to save 2 pounds in unsprung weight with these, which is kind of an advantage. A couple things that I'm noticing here though is just how much larger the boot is on the factory as compared to the EVS. So be curious to see how these actually hold up or if they just wear out prematurely. I'll let you guys know, but according to EVS tuning, in this setting here, in this orientation, you're getting an extra -2 degrees of camber. And if you were to turn them around this way, you would be at, basically at factory, you'd be at 0 degrees of additional camber. There is another plate too that has the hole centered, and those are good for an extra 1 degree of camber. I'm going to be going for the most aggressive. I want the extra 2 degrees because I would like my camber to be more than 3 degrees in the front. Okay, so just real quick, I want to go over the tools that you're going to need in order to tackle this job. You do not actually need to take off any of the brakes to do this, and in fact, having something to grab onto like the rotor for a little additional leverage is kind of nice. Is it going to make me harder? It's going to make it a little bit harder for me to show you what I'm doing, but I'll try my best to get the camera into good vantage points. But you're going to need a torque wrench. I'd recommend a ratchet that's got a sort of long handle because you're going to want some additional leverage because some of these bolts are pretty tight. You're going to want a pry bar. You're going to want a T50 Torx, a 12 mil, 14 mil, 17 mil, 19 mil, a couple of extensions, and some red Loctite. Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to get in here and remove this guy because you're going to have to pull down on this lower control arm, and you don't want to hyperextend this sensor, so it's best just to get it loose and get it out of the way. And then, and again, I apologize if it's hard to see, the bolts that we're going to be addressing are this guy, and I'll go over the torque specs for tightening now. So this one you're going to tighten to 61 foot-pounds. These up here, there's 2 of them on both sides, and these are the 19s. These are going to be tightened to 107 foot-pounds. On the other side here, you've got this 17 mil. This 17 mil gets tightened to 90 foot-pounds, and then inside here, you've got a 14 mil right in here, and you're going to tighten that to 44 foot-pounds. So I'm going to start by cracking these loose, and I'm not taking them all the way off. Next, I'm gonna come here and we're gonna loosen this one. Again, I'm not taking it all the way off. I'm just getting it loose for now. And it's real important to have a socket like this that's got really good edges on it. Otherwise, you might mess up this, this bolt. So you need to be careful with it. And now we're going to loosen the 19 millimeter. Then we're gonna do the 14mm that lives back in here. To make things a little bit faster for me, I am gonna use my 3/8 gun to get these out. Okay, so with this out, we can actually use our prying tool to try to push and separate. But first, before you do that, you need to take the Torx bit bolt all the way out. All right, now that we have that bolt out, we can start to use the prying tools to push down to move this off of the, or to move the knuckle off of the post on the ball joint. And this is just gonna take some patience. You can see it's already going here, but I'm a pretty small guy. Some of you big guys might just be able to muscle this thing out. I've got to use tools. And there we have it. It's loose and away. So with a little bit of patience, we were able to get that out without too much trouble. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the 19s that are holding the ball joint in place. Pretty easy, huh? So this one's already out. Takes a little bit of finagling to get the new one in. One thing I need to mention is you do take these out prior to putting them in, because obviously if you put them in and you turn this thing upside down, they're just gonna fall out on you. And we don't want that. So for the two bolts here, that the two 19s that hold the ball joint in, I'm gonna put a little bit of red Loctite on these. And just to show you, I'm just gonna do a dab. Don't wanna kill it, I don't wanna put too much. You know, I do actually want these to come out if I need them to, so you don't really need to use much to get the result that you're looking for with the red Loctite. So basically back in we go with this ball joint, and it's about as easy as that. All right, so I got my bolts started on those, and I'm going to kind of zip them in. We're not going to torque them yet. We're going to wait to torque everything down until the end. Okay, so as they get closer here, I'm gonna hold with my finger. I've got the little bracket in place. When it gets close, you can still swivel it, and it's probably easier for you to see what I'm doing here on this side, but here we are. Slide in here so I can see better. Went a little too tight on this side. I need to back it off just a touch so that I have some wiggle room. So with my finger holding it like that, I can come back with the gun. And snug them down. This next part can be kind of tricky. What we're trying to do here is to get the post into the slot. And this is kind of why I like leaving the rotor on. It gives me something to pull against. And using my pry bar, I needed to a little bit there in order to kind of get it in there. And now we're gonna have to push it up to get it into the hole. So one tool I definitely forgot to mention is a dead blow hammer. Definitely comes in handy. So you saw that took a little bit of finagling to get the pin straight to go into the slot, but the hammer helped me, you know, get it into place, but it's also going to help me realign the holes for the 17 mil and the 14 mil so that I can get those back in, because right now they're out of place and there's no way that I'd be able to get those bolts back in. So now I'm going to take my Wonder Bar, and there's actually a really good spot to pry to help get all this back together. As you can see, it's still definitely out of place. And hopefully you can see this on the camera, but you can get behind this and push against the sway bar. Bring the camera over here. See kind of how I have it? And that just helped shift that knuckle a lot closer than it was before so that we can get these bolts back into place. In addition to the hammer, it looks like I'm gonna have to use some pry bar action here too. Hate to do this to you guys, but I'm going to add a drift pin to your shopping list. All right, so that's the 17 kind of in its place. I'm actually going to start with the 14. Make sure I can start getting that threaded. All right, and the 14 started. And you're gonna run it in, but you're not gonna snug it up yet because this may still be out of alignment in the back. And if it is, you're gonna have to do some more prying and jiggering around in order to get it to go in there nicely. Hopefully, I'm lucky, and it does go nicely. Again, with the drip pin, I'm adding this to your shopping list. You're a small little guy like me, probably come in handy. Those of us that aren't heavy enough to have all of that, you know, mechanical weight advantage. That's okay though. Lighter's faster. Not feeling like it wants to go. I am going to use my gun to kind of help me here to see if I can't get it to catch threads. That worked out beautifully. All right, so the last thing I need to do is put in my Torx bolt. And one thing that I'm checking here, you want to make sure that this is seated all the way up against the boot. In my case it is, there's no gap, so that's a good thing. And I'm going to start my torquing with this bolt, 61 foot-pounds. All right, next I'm going for my 14 mil back here. It's 44 foot-pounds. Okay, next I'm going for my 14 back here. It's at 44 foot-pounds. Then we're gonna go with our 17 mil. This is 90 foot-pounds. Lastly, we're gonna go for the 19s, and these are 107 foot-pounds. Well, that's it. The new ball joint's in. We've only got one bolt left to go, and that's the 12 millimeter that went to the droop sensor. So we'll just go ahead and put that back in. And you can already tell just by looking at this, and it's probably easier in person, that this is kicked out significantly more than it was before. So we definitely got some negative camber going on, which is what we're looking for. Okay, so that's it. Job's done. I've got to finish up with the brakes here, so I'm going to do that off camera. After I'm done with that, I'll come back and I'll show you guys kind of how this car looks with the wheels kicked out, with the additional camber, with the factory wheels on. And don't forget to like and subscribe. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, just want to yell at me, be mean, whatever, throw them in the comments below. I'm generally pretty responsive. Again, appreciate you guys watching. This is the Point By Patrol out. We'll see you at the track. Check that out, guys. That is significantly more camber than I started with. Now the wheel is turned just slightly, but I mean, you can see how much more it's kicking out on both sides. So really happy with that. Won't know exact measurements until I get it on the alignment rack tomorrow. You know, I'll bring it in and get it racked up, and I'll report back with what we ended up with.